So for my first Christmas video, I decided to go ahead and make a centerpiece for my table because my table was completely bare and I thought the pumpkin was getting a little bit old considering it started snowing out recently. So I thought I would go ahead and film what I did, and I actually got the inspiration from Pinterest. Made a village candle jar. It took me about a half an hour to make. If you guys want to see how I made this candle jar, then let's jump right into it.
To make this, you'll need one clean empty jar, some Santa snow, glue gun and some glue sticks, a crafting art knife, measuring tape and a ruler, a tea light, and finally some dark scrapbook paper. To start this off, we're going to take our measuring tape and put this at the base of our jar just to measure how big around the jar is, and that way we will know how long to make our scrapbook paper. Since one piece of scrapbook paper wasn't long enough to go around the whole jar, I decided to take two and put them side by side. I then took the measuring tape and measured out the total length of the jar, leaving a little bit of extra so that we could have a tab that would glue underneath each other. I measured this out in 3 different spots on the back of the scrapbook paper and put a little tick. I then took a ruler to make a straight line across so that way when I went to cut it with a pair of scissors, it would be a completely straight line. Now just take a pair of scissors and cut along that line. Now I'm taking my ruler and I just want to measure out how tall I want my village landscape to be, and I put mine at about 7 inches. I didn't want the whole top covered because you want to leave a little bit of a space for the Santa snow. So you're then just going to take your ruler, measure that out, and draw a straight line, and that way you're going to guarantee that it won't go any higher than the 7 inches, or whatever that you make it on your own. Now we're just going to go ahead and cut along the line with a pair of scissors. Now if you're like me and had to use another piece of scrapbook paper, then just go ahead and repeat that step on this one. Now we're just going to go ahead and make sure that they measure around the jar perfectly. Now we're going to go ahead and draw out our landscape. I used my ruler to make the buildings, the windows on the buildings, and also some of the Christmas trees. This way I could guarantee that they were going to be the same height on each side, and they were also going to be completely straight, which makes a huge difference in your landscape. You also want to make sure that on each piece of scrapbook paper that they're going to line up. So you want to make sure that you're drawing the same picture into the next piece of scrapbook paper so it all makes sense and it's all one scene. Here is the drawing of my landscape for my village. We're now going to take our art knife and just cut along those straight lines. I actually decided to use my ruler to make sure that they were completely straight because I found just using it freehand made it a little bit difficult and my lines were a little bit wobbly. Now please make sure you don't cut yourself with this because this little knife is extremely sharp. Here I am picking out the little windows, and when you actually are pulling this off and there's a little piece that's still attached, just go ahead with your art knife and go back over that spot, and that way you're not going to actually tear anything on your little scene. Now going over the snow was a little bit difficult with the art knife because it kind of wants to do its own little thing. So if your snow isn't exactly on the lines, that's okay. That's why you want to make sure you draw it on the back of your scrapbook paper because you don't want to have to see those lines shining through the landscape on the front of it. Now this is my favorite scene, and I think it's because I overlap the trees in front of the apartment building, and if you have little holes like that, just go ahead and stick a pencil to poke those through. Don't worry, I realized after I showed you guys this that I hadn't taken the part off beside the tree there. When you take your Santa snow to spray your jar, make sure that you cover the area with something, so I just used some plastic bags for mine, and you don't want to hold it down too hard because if you do, it does that and makes it too thick in one spot, and you kind of want to just spritz it on like this and just kind of be like snowy. Don't worry though, because if it does, you can just wipe it off and redo it. After the Santa snow has dried, you just go ahead and take your glue gun and glue the scene onto the jar. Now just stick a tea light into the jar and there you have it. It's completely finished.
So I hope you guys enjoyed this video and found it somewhat informative, and maybe some of you will go ahead and try it out yourselves. If you do try it out yourself, you can tweet me at #PrettyGoodChristmas to see what you guys do and what different scenes that you do. You don't necessarily have to do like a little village or a little town. You can do whatever you want. It really wasn't that expensive. It only cost me $10.14, and that is tax in. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. And I hope you guys are having a great day, and I will see you on Friday. Bye!